Good evening. Welcome to 5 Day with Jay. I am your host, J.R. Murdock. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get into it. 1. Pup date. My favorite daughter's over today. Therefore, Gracie has Maya and Coda to play with, and play they are. I waited for a while until they calmed down a little bit because squeaky toys are going. Back door flippity flappity as they're going in and out. They're having a good time. They're having a really good time. I'm glad Gracie has some company today. She's active. She's playing. She's by herself. She'll do laps in the backyard. It's hilarious. She found a nice little spot to dig a hole and lean into a cactus, and I'm like, "That's a cactus you're leaning into, and you're knocking it out." She's a dog. She's having a good time. Letting her have a good time. Not so worried about it. 2. Apocalypse FM. This is a new short story that is out. Came out today. This short story was originally written as a script. When I was working with a good, close personal friend of mine, John Carl Toff, we were working on a lot of audio scripts, converting some of my short stories into audio scripts. And he said, "Hey, Jay, I've got this idea. I think it would make a good script." And I'm like, "You know what? That probably would make a really good script." Very Twilight Zoney. So I wrote the script, and the script came out really good. We both liked it. We did some tweaks. And the audio group we were working kind of fell apart. So John said, "Hey, well, why don't you just take it, rewrite it as a short story, and roll with it? Have it go." And so I thought about it, and I almost didn't, but I'm like, you know what? This is a really good story. So I rewrote it as a short story, and I was going to self publish it on my own. Had no idea what to do with it. But I wound up taking that short story and submitting it to an anthology with my writers group. My writers group did two anthologies that came out: From Ashes Born, which this one is in, and trying to remember what the other anthology. It's on my website. I'll go find it and follow it. But at any rate, Apocalypse FM. It's out there. It's 99 cents. Now, again, don't feel obligated to go buy all the short stories that I produce. If you do, thank you. I appreciate your patronage. There will be a collection of short stories as I move along, and those short stories will be collected for much lower price than buying all of the short stories together. Or if you are down on funds, drop me an email, say, "Hey, Jay, I ain't got the bucks." I'll send you the collection for free. Don't have a problem doing that whatsoever. Mr. Moody, hey, what's shaking? Thank you for joining me this evening. Number 3, work. Yesterday, I kind of talked about some of the stresses going on with work. Understand that that's just normal day-to-day stress. I'm by no means biting my nails and freaking out and having a bad time of it, and need to go knock back a couple just to take the edge off. It's just common stress. It's just learning something new. And as I've expressed before, I don't mind learning something new. I'm learning Linux shell programming, but beyond that, I'm going through somebody else's code and analyzing how they coded, how they got everything to work, and what it does. And it's not always the easiest roadmap. Yes, we did document the scripts. We did explain what each script does and which tables it touches, but that's different than going through the physical code, physical, digital code, and looking at each line, going, this does that, this does that. What exactly is this doing? Why is this pulling from that table? So I'm having an interesting time navigating through some of this. I'll figure it out. I will. Hey, it's my job. That's what I'm doing. When I'm not on conference calls, I'm figuring stuff out. Number 3, reading. As you probably noticed, for a long time, I've got books stacked up all over the desk. I've got lots and lots of books everywhere. I'm reading several books at the same time. I'm about halfway through a bunch of these books. What I'm working on is trying to finish some of these books that I've started and didn't complete. So I'm going through books and I'm trying to clear off my desk, get all these physical books read, get them put away. I'm trying to read between 50 and 100 pages a day in physical books, but I'm also reading on my phone, on the tablet. I'm trying to read digital books as well. So between 50 and 100 physical pages, 50 and 100 digital pages per day to try and get through some of the books that I have backed up. I have a lot of books that I really do want to get through. And of course, it's me. So I had known that Mur Lafferty wrote Solo, the Star Wars book, and I wanted to buy it when it came out, but it was $10, and I'm like, I'm paying $10 for a digital book. It's on sale right now. I don't know if it dropped in price or if it's just on sale right at this moment. But if you go on Amazon right now, you'll see it's a $1.99, $2. Don't even have to think about it. Boom, got me a copy. Now I've got another book I need to read. So I'm currently reading Paul Cooley's latest book in the Derelict saga, Derelict Trident. I'm currently reading Scott Sigler's latest GFL novel, The Gangster. Unless you have the hardcover and they misprinted the spine and it says The Gangster. I think that's hilarious. He explained it in a video. You can go find it. And I'm also currently reading the GFL novella with Scott Sigler and J.C. Hutchins. Can't wait to dig into that one. A whole lot going on, a whole lot of reading happening. I'm reading about 7 or 8 books all at once, and I'm trying to focus and get that collection down to just a couple of books so that I'm reading only a couple at a time versus trying to read everything at the same time. I'm trying, not always working. One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, and this is all because of a post that my friend J. Daniel Sawyer put up on his blog. If you don't follow J. Daniel Sawyer and you're a writer, I highly recommend going and following J. Daniel Sawyer. He is a good author. He does some very thought-provoking blog posts, and he has a Kickstarter going on. I promoted it a couple times. If you got a few bucks, I definitely recommend go checking it out. At any rate, his blog post started talking about comparisons between the suburbs and the rural areas and the urban areas. And one of the things that he started talking about is how quiet the suburbs are. That you go out and you just don't see kids anymore. Now, I have a slightly different take than he has because of where I live, and it's only because of where I live. What he's talking about, I agree with completely. Where I live, at the top of the hill, there's an elementary school. At the bottom of the hill, there's a junior high. So I see kids walking up and down this hill all the time. I see kids on skateboards. I see kids on bike. I see them going up and down the hill regularly. When school is about to start or when school is over, where I do agree with Dan is it's quiet with kids, except on very special occasions like Halloween. So it is an incredible change to see this. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know I grew up in the backwoods of Minnesota. Put your finger in the middle of Minnesota, you're pretty darn close to where I grew up. I grew up in the sticks. We lived half an hour from a town that was a population of 400 people. That's how far away in the woods I lived. So it was nothing for me to hop on my bike, go to a friend's house, go down to the lake and go swimming, ride to the bait shop and pick up some candy or even pick up some bait and go fishing. When it came time to do something, it was, hey, kids, get out of the house. When the sun goes down, come back home. That was the way I grew up. In Dan's blog, he talks about kids of the 80s and 90s. Well, I'm a child of the 70s, so I fall right in there. I was a teenager in the 80s. But again, that I understand what he's talking about. When he and I were children, it was common to, hey, go outside and play. Go outside and make a friend. Don't come home until it's dark outside. Stay outside and go do something. And that's what we did. When I was a kid, rain or shine, we were outside doing something. If it was raining, we were playing in the mud. We were getting dirty as can be. We were caked head to toe in mud. Didn't mind going out and getting dirty. We called it a dump. You might call it a landfill. We had a dump in our backyard. We had this giant sinkhole, and my stepfather wanted to fill it in. So anybody that had any type of trash, be it old appliances, old vehicles, lumber from something they had to tear down, it was all in that big hole. Every 6 months or every year, he would get a giant truckload of sand, pour that at one end, and just push it in to try and level parts of it out. I do believe at this point where I grew up, that whole area is now completely flat. That sinkhole is completely filled in. Just the way it worked. It definitely didn't happen while we lived there. We wound up moving out of there. But I do believe the people that took the place over did eventually complete that project. But again, we would go play in the woods. We would build a tree house. We would pull stuff out of this dump in the backyard and build stuff out of it. We had a refrigerator door on a tree house just because it was funny. We had a tree house you had to climb on top of to get inside. Not all of them lasted. Sometimes you get a really bad rain and things just fall down. We would tear that one down and build a new one. It was all a matter of what we could find to do with our time. It wasn't a matter of, oh my gosh, something might happen to us if we're out there playing. It was a matter of just go out and play and be a kid. Ride our bike to the bar up the street, and we would have some money in our pocket from doing mowing lawns and go knock on people's door. Hey, you need your grass cut? And we'd be pushing the lawnmower, and we would cut people's lawns, and we'd make a few bucks. We'd go buy ourselves a pizza and play some video games at the bar at the end of the street. That's the way I grew up. And I understand what Dan's talking about, how there is a lot of paranoia that comes with living in the suburbs. You hear a story about, oh, a child was kidnapped. Okay, we live in a town. We live in San Diego. This is a city of millions of people. One child being abducted is not an epidemic. It's one child got abducted. It's horrible. It's horrific. But a lot of adults will, no, you're not going outside to play. No, you cannot walk yourself next door. We were the same way with my daughter growing up. If she was going to go somewhere, we took her there. She did not hop on a bike and ride there, mainly because she didn't know how to ride a bike, but that's a different story for another day. We always took our daughter everywhere she needed to go. If she was going to go to a friend's house, we took her there. If she needed to go to Girl Scouts, we took her there. When I went to 4-H as a kid, my brother and I would hop on our bikes and we'd go. We're 8, 9, 10 years old by ourselves riding our bikes to go to a 4-H meeting that's, 5 miles, 10 miles down the road. It's just what we did. It's just how it worked. We didn't think about it, especially when I was a kid. I don't believe the world has changed that significantly. If we were to live in a rural area, probably the same way. Go, kid. Go. Have a good time. Let me know when you get back. So many times we would go to a friend's house, and from that house go to another friend's house, and there'd be a whole bunch of us all on our bikes riding somewhere with our older brothers and sisters and everybody. I had a stepbrother. He was friends with one of my friends in the neighborhood, who they lived in the cities and they would come back and forth. Another friend, he had 2 older sisters, and all of us would just, my stepbrother, my brother, my friend's brother, all of us would just end up down at the lake, just go swimming. We had some friends that would come up from the cities, mostly my brother's friends. Some of the friends my brother made later on in school that he was in football with and baseball, basketball with, they'd go off and do their thing, and I'd go off and do my thing. It was a different era. It was a different time. And it feels like there was a big shift to telling kids to go do their own thing and telling kids, hey, you know what? No, you need to be protected. I need to protect you. I need to keep you safe. That said, it's been a challenge for my wife and I to realize our favorite daughter moved out. She is independent. She is a strong young lady. Her boyfriend is also very resourceful, and they make a really good couple. Those two are starting their life together. We couldn't be happier that those two as a couple get so much done. If she needs to take care of something, she goes and she takes care of it. If he needs to go to work, he goes to work and she deals with the dogs and just takes care of all of it. It's fascinating to see her blossom in the environment she's placed herself. It really is. I don't attribute us shielding her from risk. I don't believe we did that intentionally. We never stopped her from going and doing things when she was in, a little bit older. Go with your friends, go do something, go have fun. We would drop them off, and we'd drop them off at the movies, let them go watch the movies on their own. We'd drop them off at whatever party they were going to at the time. Um, we trusted her to be responsible and do the right thing. It's strange. It definitely is strange. Compared to the way I grew up and the way she grew up, couldn't be different. Couldn't be more different. Like I said, I my mom worked nights. My stepdad worked during the day. My brother and I'd get home from school. No one locked their doors. The front door would be open. We'd come home, either make ourselves some leftovers or, make something to eat. We rode the school bus to school. My daughter never had to ride the school bus to school. The only time she rode the school bus was on field trips. It's a different time. It's a different era. It really got me thinking when I read Dan's post. Uh, Absolutely fascinating. At any rate, that's all I had for this evening. So I'm gonna log off. I need to go write a couple thousand words because I still owe Mr. Plested a chapter, and I've been slacking off. I haven't gotten it done. I've been spending a lot of time getting all of the books resubmitted onto Drafted Digital because many of them got kicked out because I submitted them for pre-order and I wanted the pre-order to happen after they rolled out of Kindle Unlimited, but Drafted Digital does a check and says, "Hey, that book is still in Drafted Digital. No, 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 you can't do that." Barnes& Noble and Kobo really did not care. They're fine. They're rolling through. They're out there for pre-order. Drafted Digital, I had to resubmit a few, and I did that yesterday, and then went, oh, they're still in Kindle Unlimited. They're going to get rejected again. So I need to go onto the actual Amazon page, see have they rolled off of Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. If they have, then I can repunch the button, get them submitted, get them out there, and make it happen. We're doing this. We're going wide with 9 books. See what happens from there. I may even go wide with the short story collections because I don't believe I submitted either one of those to Kindle Unlimited. So might be 10, 11 books out there on the wide distribution. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm still thinking about it, giving it consideration. I definitely want to make sure I have the short stories in Kindle Unlimited. So if you do have Kindle Unlimited, you can read through all of the short stories, not worry about paying, 99 cents each. That's all. That's all I got for this evening. Yep. So, Mr. Moody, thank you again for joining me. It's been a great time. It's been 5 Days with Jay. I've been Jay. You've been awesome.